never thought she'd happen on a tumbleweed like me. People don't live in the desert, it's hard to survive. She said it's dry, but I still sweat it makes me feel alive. Arizona, hotter than the Tucson sun. Arizona, maybe you're the lucky
Excellent. Welcome to the Wolff Den, presented by Win Again Academy. I'm Matt Wolff, founder and CEO of Ticket Time Machine. Today we have Brett Wiscons in the den on this show. I still haven't figured out how to say that yet, but welcome. How's it going?
I love being in the den with you, Matt.
Yeah, it's a wild ride for sure.
Going great, dude.
Tell everyone who you are for those who don't know, and then tell us about that song, and then we'll get into some other stuff.
Sure, yeah. My name's Brett. I am still 42 years old for a couple more weeks. My favorite number of all time. So I'm grappling with how I'm going to react when I turn 43 and that number goes away from me. But
you got a Jackie Robinson thing?
No, it's not. It was I mean, I guess it could lump that in there, but it was more of a crazy enough Vin Baker from the NBA. I was a big fan of Vin Baker, and I was number 42 a lot. And when I played basketball growing up, and there was just something about that number that resonated with me. But
well, I grew up a Sonics fan. Dale Ellis is my favorite player of all time. Vin Baker, of course, played for the Sonics. One of the teams. And so 3 is really like my lucky number.
Okay.
Being big as you are, I had to wear like 45, right? They didn't let the big guys wear number 3. So 45 was my number, which means nothing to me now. But
nothing to you now? You passed that?
Yeah.
Or it just doesn't matter?
It just my basketball career is a whole nother episode.
Well, we'll get into that maybe someday. But so yeah, I played some high school basketball. I played some college intramural basketball. Won the championship in the intramural league there. Really grew into my body once I turned 19, 20 years old. But yeah, I live in Zionsville, Indiana, which is a suburb of Indianapolis. I've lived in the Indianapolis area for 25 years now. And I've got a daughter named Luca. She's 7 years old. She's just a fantastic kid, and love her to the moon and back and then some. And I write music. I perform music. I write novels. I don't perform novels per se, although I did do a live reading of my last novel last fall with some other friends. I did my book release party at a friend's house, kind of a little private party thing, and printed off a scene from the book and had me and 3 other friends reading the characters live, which was actually pretty fun. We'd never done anything like that, and it was tequila fueled and a lot of fun for everybody there. So maybe I do perform my novels, but just got off the Beach Boys cruise and had a damn good time. Still maybe recovering from that. That's where I met you, Matt. And I don't know. Excited for what this year is going to bring, I guess, in all ways.
Yeah, it's a ton to unpack there, but I want to start with the novels that you write. You have 5 of them.
Yes.
I mean, they're it's not 5 books. It's a series. So
Correct.
To have that, to do one and then say there's either a demand or an idea for it. Either one is difficult, right? It's difficult to have an idea for it. You have a demand for it. Now you're at 5. Maybe it could be a movie. I haven't gotten to read it yet because I didn't even know about this until right after the cruise. I'm not much of a reader, by the way. If the movie comes out, I'm going to watch all 3 and we'll do a crazy preview for it.
There we go.
But tell us about how you became a novel writer. Obviously, writing is in your blood.
Yeah.
Talk about how you became and the story of the novel and how you get to 5. By the way, I went to look on Amazon. just a weird thing. I could get 1 and 2 and 5, but not 3 and 4. I don't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Could you find 3 and 4, or they were
Not
like
on
not?
Amazon. I'd have to look. Anyway,
Okay.
that's a technical thing, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
tell us about the novel. It's a series of 5.
Yes. Yeah. I never really envisioned writing books per se, although I did write a short story in high school that was really fun to do. I wrote it with a buddy for a project, but I've always been somewhat creative, and I've always liked living in the non-real world. Even though I live in the real world, I let my mind go to a different place a lot of times because I feel like the real world is pretty depressing sometimes, especially lately. And so I've always kind of strove to detach, I guess. Although meditation these days have really helped me bring me back to the present. But I'm getting off topic here. So
That's
I
you here on the Wolff Den. We get off topic.
I read a lot too, and I've always kind of read books growing up. And I got into this book series. My buddy introduced me to this book series in 2008, and the lead character was a guy named Travis McGee, and he was based in Florida, fictional, but he lived on a houseboat in Fort Lauderdale, and they didn't call him a private detective; they called him a salvage consultant, where he would go and get things for people, like somebody got a rare stamp collection or coin collection stolen from him, and he would go track it down, and his asking price for every case he took was 50% of whatever it was worth, and his expenses, travel expenses, whatever. And
Like
it
they
was
had a
just
show. Wasn't there a show? There was a show I watched that was really cool. It was this guy who kind of lived in a trailer who would go and try and find stuff.
well, I don't know.
I'm
They did
forgetting
make a
the name.
movie or two from these books, the Travis McGee books from like in the 80s. Sam, what's his name? The real deep voice guy that was in Tombstone, and
Oh yeah, he was in
Sam. Shit.
Roadhouse, right? Wasn't he in
Yeah.
Roadhouse?
Elliot, Sam
Yeah.
Elliott. He played Travis McGee in a movie or two, and it just didn't really work. Anyhow, I really love that book series. There were 21 books in that series, and I read it all. And kind of I just told this story yesterday actually to a friend, but kind of concurrently to me finishing that book series, because the author died, and the book series was over in the 80s anyway, but you know what I mean, I came to it late to the game, but then when I got to the end, that was the end, and it would have been the end anyway at that point in time, because it was 2012 or 2011 when I was reading this book series. I'm sure the author would have probably been gone by then anyway, but anyhow, I finished the book series, really loved the concept, the genre, the wit, the sarcasm of the lead character, the pushing back against authority, all that stuff. And then my dad passed away around that time, and he was a big influence on me as far as just academics and reading and writing and things like that. And he passed away suddenly, so didn't really get to say goodbye to him. So I had this idea that I would write a book, put him in as the lead character, my dad, or base the lead character on my dad. And I would tell some stories that he had told me, of his, travels and just growing up and things like that, and some of his background. And I would kind of continue his legacy on through the book. I thought it would just be one book, but I really liked, again, that Travis McGee book series was really cool to me. And I wanted to keep that book series going in a way, because I liked reading them so much. So I wanted to basically not rip off, but follow in those footsteps, but only with my dad as the lead character, but in that same vein as the Travis McGee character. And so it's not like I continued the Travis McGee series
Right.
per se, but I tried to in a way, but just by inserting my dad as the lead character.
But you envisioned this series when you started to write day one?
I didn't envision it as a book series. I envisioned it as just a continuation of the Travis McGee book series. I thought it would be a one-off. I mean, I was like, how am I going to write one book, let alone 5?
Yeah.
So, but then I did. Here we are.
It's you write songs. I feel like writing a book is maybe the hardest thing to write, because a song is I don't know. You tell me, what's the difference? Because write a show, write a movie. Right, a movie's got to tie up in 2 hours. A show, you can have 13 episodes and kind of it could be open. It doesn't have to make a whole lot of sense until you watch the next one. The movie's got to be over. The song, you got 2, 3, 4 minutes to do. Also, a book, that's a long thing to have to fill without visuals. So sometimes when you have a visual, it's like, all right, I don't almost worry what they say. It kind of carries it too. So that's my opinion on writing. What do you feel?
I actually disagree politely that
Oh.
that I think it's, believe it or not, I think it's actually easier to write a book than to write a song.
A book about nonfiction?
Well, no.
Or fiction, I mean fiction.
Fiction, yeah. Fiction is what but the books I've written, now, maybe not to write a classic book like, F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote, or somebody Hemingway like that, but to write the books I write, I feel like it's easier to write the book than to write a really good song. I mean, I can write a bunch of shitty songs, I guess, easier than writing a decent book, but
I guess it's all relative too with songs. I mean, and you're probably your biggest critic also with regards to writing. We find that with anyone who does any writing. But that's interesting to me, because you have to have like this whole big thing, and it all has to sort of make sense and keep interest. What's the difference between what your series and Harry Potter? I mean, what makes that successful and yours not? The same with like your songs and Ed Sheeran, who, there's some politics to it. Some of it's money back to you, right? Publicity, whatever. But what do you think is the big difference?
I'm not sure. First of all, I've never read any of the Harry Potter books, so I can't actually comment. I'm not sure. I think I've gotten a lot better at writing books and songs over the last 5-10 years, and I've found some fans that really appreciate what I do, and that's really all I'm trying to do, honestly, is be true to myself as an artist and also connect with fans, however that looks.
I think that's great, because usually, I mean, we all have favorite artists and people that we really like who haven't done good music lately, and we love their old stuff, and they can go on tour, right? They're already established, so you can go on tour and not play a song that's within 10 years, and you're just like, all right, I don't care, I love this stuff. So I think it's a good trajectory growing as you improve in your writing, I would think.
Yeah, I agree. And I really think my last album was definitely the best one I've put out, and I'm actually a little concerned about topping that album, but I think we can do it, because I've got, I'll definitely use my same producer again, Tom Doherty, and there's been a lot more, all those songs on the Late Bloomer album, Matt, were written in 2020, and they weren't released until 2022. So there's a lot of things that have gone on in my life from 2021 to now. So I am thinking about putting out another album maybe next year and start writing for it this year. And I do think it'll just continue the brand I'm trying to build, and just trying to connect with, one audience member at a time. And it's exhausting sometimes, dude, but I do think that I've gotten a lot further in the last few years just by the way I put myself out there and the way I connect with people and go up to people and talk to them and try to make a connection that way. And I think it shows in my live show, and it shows in the music I put out, that I'm not a flash in the pan. I'm definitely here for the long run, and we'll just see what happens. Maybe, I do think, I haven't pushed these books, but I do agree with you. I do think they could be either a movie or a limited series. I actually write the books as movies almost. In my mind, I just write it. I've never written a movie, of course, but they're shorter books. They're not 500 pages long. They're shorter, quick, fast reads, and that's the kind of books I like to read. So that's why I write the books that I write, and I do think they really translate well on either the big screen or the streaming screen.
Yeah, one of the things about the type of series that you wrote is that it could never end. I mean, you could literally write 100 of these books, right? Because it's just a
Well,
different
maybe
adventure.
maybe not 100, but
Well,
yeah,
it's just a different adventure with the same people, almost like a Batman.
yeah,
Is. There's no end to this unless you decide to.
right. And now I've been close in a couple of the books, and honestly, I've come close in almost every book of killing off the lead character because I'm like, well, that's one way to end it, so I
Yeah,
don't have to write another one. But something always kind of stops me from doing that. Although maybe in the fifth book, the one that's most recent that just came out, Turquoise Dream, maybe I'm not sure. You may have to read it and see if it does end right there.
I'm gonna read it. I'm not a big reader. I don't really like to read, but if I can get something and just finish it quickly, that's the thing for me. I don't want to have a book for a week. If
I'll
I can't
send it to
finish
you.
it in one or two settings, I
Yeah.
don't do it. So I did read when there was a hurricane and everything was shut down. This is years and years ago, and it was the what's the Tom Hanks movie with it's like a huge book about like conspiracy and I mean, everyone was reading it. It was like the biggest book in the world.
Oh, Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, I got through that in
Yeah.
like one day, 2 days. My favorite book of all time is a couple. It's called Strike Zone. It's a comedy about baseball. I love Holden Caulfield is my favorite guy, and then I'm a big Carl Hyacin fan. He
Oh
wrote a
yeah.
couple of books similar to what you do.
Yeah.
And a Pulitzer Prize winning. He went to Florida. He talks about Florida stuff. So I've read some of his, but I don't read as much as I'd like to. And I think I'd like to. I do watch movies. I'd actually prefer to watch a movie than read the book about it. That's just the medium for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But let's talk. If we talk about your career, we talk about the books. Is it fair to say that you can't survive being an author alone?
Oh.
Yeah.
Very fair to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Unless I were to get somebody to sign me to a publishing deal with a $100,000 advance or somebody to option my book into a movie.
I think that could be, again, I haven't read this, but all I'm going by is you have a series of 5 books, you got a character. I don't see why it couldn't. I think that's definitely something to pursue. I just asked that because in music, you're like, what is your goal
Yeah.
to be in music for your career? Because we talk about all the time. We've had people like JD and Steve, people that you've met on the show and talk about that. And there's such a wide range of what people can do as a career in music. And some people, it's hard to let go in any career to say, hey, I need to kind of move on to my main thing. I struggle that with myself here with the Time Machine.
Yeah. I'm keeping my ears open, and I definitely would love to pursue something with my books down the road, to try to, find the right people that might want to turn this into, because there's so much content out there on streaming services and movies just nonstop being churned out. And I'm not going to sit here and say these are the greatest books ever written, but they're pretty good. And I think, with maybe touching them up a little bit for the screen and getting the right actors to be involved in it, a guy like Vince Vaughn or something like that.
So who plays your dad? Who plays your dad?
Well, if we were to make a movie,
yeah.
Honestly, the guy I really thought of was Vince Vaughn.
I like to ask people this when I have an answer, but I was going to say, like, who do people say you remind them of?
Well, Vince Vaughn as
well.
That
comes to mind, maybe a little bit on the looks, but also sort of in like the personality. And that's who I would pick. So I think that would be perfect.
I do too. And if his people are watching, or if anyone knows his people and they want to hang out and reach out, I mean, I think it'd be a nice lunch date, if nothing else, for he and I to get together and I could pitch it to him.
Right. Vince Vaughn's not watching the Wolff Den at 1 p.m. He watches it on replay. He doesn't watch it live.
Okay.
So,
well, when he gets to it,
yeah,
maybe he can.
when he gets to this.
Email
and
me.
we're pretty good. Usually he's about 20, 25 minutes that he watches. So
Okay.
we're right in that wheelhouse of that he'll actually hear what is what's
Perfect.
going on.
Perfect.
Yeah. So with regards to the singing and you're writing songs, right now you have you're doing a lot of house shows, right? You just come off the Beach Boys cruise. Hold on, I need to grab a drink of.
Look at that!
You got to grab a drink here real quick.
Casual sex. I'll have a drink as well.
But you get on the Beach Boys cruise as you got voted in.
Yeah.
For people who don't know, there's Six Man is an organization that does these music cruises. A ton of them. They have all different kinds. They got a Broadway. They just did a Jay and Silent Bob cruise coming out, which is outrageous. Dude Perfect and all kinds of music. So you get voted on. They have these lineups, and then they have these 3 people who get voted on based on the community who wants to have them, and you get voted on. And I'm a 6-man veteran, and I say this without a doubt that you were one of the people in all of the cruises that I've been on who was the most visible. And just being out there in shows, you're at karaoke, you're in the crowd listening to shows. And I say, I don't mean this in a bad way. There are people who are just big stars who don't necessarily do that. Mark McGrath is one of them. Now I can tell you, the last year more than he was this past cruise, and maybe it was because he got mobbed. I don't know what it is, but I think you got to do that. And I'm looking at you and I'm thinking, well, look, this guy is going to really ingrain himself in this community, which is a huge thing to be able to come on these shows, because what happens is someone discovers you that's never heard who you are, and now they want you on a different boat, or they go to your show, or they buy your music, or they share their music. I mean, that's what music is about, right? It's grassroots guerrilla marketing.
Totally. And I have a marketing degree, and that's not lost on me. But I'm also very introverted when I'm home, and even when I'm out in public, sometimes I am introverted, but I'm also very comfortable being extroverted and being out and talking to people and taking pictures or laughing and telling jokes and doing shots, whatever it is. I have to differentiate myself a little bit, and it is in an organic, genuine way. I'm not saying I just like do this and I dread doing it, and it takes a lot out of me, I'll be honest, but I know that.
But Brett, it would be okay if you did that. That's what you have to do. You got to get outside your comfort zone. You got to do stuff. Hey, it might not be my thing. It's better when it's genuine in the way that you're saying, but it's okay to do it if you're not. I mean, that's what you got to do to get people to get visible.
Totally. And I'm okay with that. And I know, again, sometimes I'm like, man, this is going to be rough and I'm going to be exhausted, but I got to do it, because that is one of the ways to differentiate yourself in this industry, is to be an accessible artist that people can come up to and have a conversation with, and not feel, hopefully they don't feel weird, or they don't feel awkward, or they don't feel like they're infringing on if they get in my personal space a little too much, that's one thing. But if they want to, talk to me about their kids or their parents, or how a song I wrote, affected them, or, a band we both like that we, bumped into each other at a concert or whatever. I'm a man of the people, Matt, and I always will be. And that's just I've always been kind of an entertainer at heart, and I was homecoming king in high school, I guess, because I got along with people from all different walks of life, and
you're a good looking dude too. That doesn't hurt to become homecoming king. It also doesn't hurt in the music world. It's not going to get you everywhere, but it doesn't hurt.
No, it doesn't hurt. You're right.
I want to let's talk about the Beach Boys cruise a little bit. Also, you get on here, you're voted on, and now you're on stage with the Beach Boys playing.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing, like you said, to get the opportunity to even be considered to be voted on. the cruise, to be a top 10 semifinalist. That's a nice career moment. And then to become a top 5 finalist, and you're one step closer to getting on the boat, and you're campaigning literally. I'm in a good way, but I mean, I'm making sure people know who I am in the Facebook group, and I'm popping in, and I'm, leaving messages, and I'm selling myself basically, but in a genuine way, because I'm the person where art and commerce meet. I'm all about being artistic, but I'm also all about networking and continuing to build my career up. And you can't just sit on the couch and expect things to happen.
Yeah.
Even though you're a great guitar player, a great singer.
There's
Sorry.
a lot of great guitar players and
Yeah.
singers. I mean, we
Yeah.
look at this at karaoke. I mean, there's
Yeah.
some good people singing.
Right. Yeah. But I get to do this for a living because I'm constantly networking and hustling and working on my craft. And anyhow, then you get voted on. Okay. And that is a huge deal for a guy at my level, or a guy at Steve's level, or Christopher James. Just because automatically your exposure goes way up. Your interactions with diehard music fans go way up. And that's who I'm looking for, is fans that are going to be with me up and down for years and years. And they're not just, I pass them one time in a bar and I play and I leave and I never see them again. Like, these are fans that are committed. They want you to succeed. They want to buy your merchandise. They want to wear your merchandise. They want to tell their friends about you. And so that was huge, getting on the boat. Then you get on the cruise ship, and the first night of the cruise, you're minding your own business, watching the Beach Boys from the side stage, and then John Stamos, Uncle Bleeping Jesse, is like, "Get up here." I'm like, "Who's this guy talking to?" And he's pointing at me and Steve Everett and his girlfriend Talia, and he's just like, "Come on." And finally, like, I think he did it 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, he's got to be fucking talking to us, because there's no one else standing behind me. So I just walk up there like I own the place.
Yeah, that's what you have. I mean, even if he was pointing to someone else, you walk up there like you belong there. That's basically a key to a lot of things. Just, until someone tells you, hey, you're not allowed here.
Right. Totally. And I feel like, it was an easy song to sing along to in that moment. And I didn't have to think too hard on the lyrics, or I was definitely enjoying the moment for sure, but I was definitely in the moment and singing along, and just all the emotions were coming out, mostly just joy and happiness. And
When we talk about the Beach Boys cruise, and again, I'm a veteran. I've been on 7 different cruises, or 6 different types of cruises: Rockboat, Train, Fronte, Warped. I think that you getting voted on to Beach Boys is probably the best scenario for you, because what happens is there's not a ton of music where people can actually come to your stuff and listen to you. Truth is, if you're on the Rockboat for the first time, it's difficult to find people. You're probably playing on the back deck with, I don't know, 50 people, maybe less, 20 people for some of your shows. But you got to the people who, again, like music and all kinds of music. Full disclosure, I'm mostly a headliner guy. So when I go on those big boats, I make sure I hit all the headliners. But there is people who I like to see live better than, just listening. But it's a great community that I think is really going to embrace you. So we'll see, what happens moving forward. Speaking of John Stamos, the Katrina, who was awesome.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, she was just rocking out. I thought she was going to have a heart attack on stage. I was a little concerned. So I got his drumstick.
Oh, nice.
I had Stamos sign it when we waited online for a long time. And
nice.
I have a poker chip from the casino. I got your stuff. I keep a napkin. Is there something you came off of the rock boat with to commemorate?
Well, I have my artist badge. I saw that Steve sent you his, right?
No.
That was Dave Bowman. Sorry. Yeah. Because Bowman came up and sang with him on stage. That's right. Never mind. Cut that out. But I still have my artist lanyard. I have my room key. and I have the John Stamos like pre-order your book
Oh
little
yeah,
flyer.
yeah.
That's it, I guess. Right now,
I
I
keep
have
a
my
lot of stuff like that. It's cool to go back and look and be like, hey, I remember what this, I remember the casual sax. I remember, getting this and it's just stuff. It's good to have those memories, especially as a fan, but also as someone. I mean, look, you're working, but you're there. Why not enjoy it and embrace it? And who knows if you're ever going to get back to do something like that.
totally.
So I think you got to embrace that.
Oh, I was, I grew up a music fan before being a musician, and I still listen to music all day long. If I'm working out or if I'm working on my computer, when I write my books, my most recent book, I actually on repeat over and over again. I played my buddy Rob Dixon, who is the casual sax guy. He couldn't make the boat, but he put out an album, an instrumental album a few years ago, and I that was on repeat when I wrote my last novel. And because it's just cool, it's got ups and downs, and there's no vocals, which it's hard to write books when you're listening to somebody singing in the background. But yeah, dude, I never thought in a million years I'd be this far along in my career. I mean, I always dreamed that I'd be playing music and traveling and touring and writing, but I put it into action.
Your songs are very personal. It really you spoke to me when I was there. I want you to finish with what's the title track?
Oh, late bloomer.
Yeah, I want you to finish the show with Late Bloomer, and I
Okay,
want you to sing another one and a different one
sure.
coming up. But it's your personal story, which is it's highs and lows, and it's real deep and it's personal, right? You lost your dad. He was young. I lost my father. I'm a late bloomer myself. I'm 40. I'll be 47 in May, and I didn't start my company until I was in my 40s. So it speaks to people, but even if it doesn't speak to you exactly, you can connect with the stories that you tell. There's a song about your daughter, and there's all kinds of song about breakups, which is I figure like it's easy to talk about, but it's not easy to talk about, and it's emotional because every time you're performing, you're bringing this up, and there's stuff like that makes me laugh, makes me cry, it makes you feel. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's tough to do, and you're having to play this song. How what do you think about as you're writing an album that you like, Late Bloomer or the future one, and how does that help you?
Well, I do think I can write fictitious songs, um, and I can deliver them pretty well. I can create characters, and I've done that before. Um, but I do think as I've gotten older and more, have had more experiences in life, good and bad, that what really works for me the most, not always, but the most, is the personal songs that things that I've gone through. And then I do fictionalize those a little bit sometimes because it may just be a better song if it's dramatized a little bit, but usually that initial idea is pretty real, and I try to keep that going throughout the whole song. And I know if it connects with me, not that I'm the complete litmus test, but I know if it connects with me and Tom, my producer, that it's going to connect with other people.
You said an interesting story about Tom and the way that he helps you write. Can you tell the audience that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, he's I don't use this term lightly, but he's an actual musical genius when it comes to, and he'll be the first to tell you lyrics are not his strong suit, but chord structures, melodies, connecting a lyric to the emotion of the music and marrying those together is something that he does better than anyone I've ever met, or barely, maybe even a lot of people I've heard before too. He does have a lot of, actually, I don't know if he has a lot of training in musical theory, but he sure seems like he does. And he just knows where to go with the song and how to build a song and how to structure it. And with the album we just did, again, it's been shit. We started writing this album 3 years ago, and we, finally, then the pandemic hit. then the pandemic hit, and it changed the trajectory of the songs we were going to write. And we did write some really hard, deep songs because we were all going through a crazy time in our lives. But a lot of the songs on the album would start with me just verbal diarrhea of my emotions. No structure, just a bunch of lyrics in poem form or something like that, just prose form, I guess. And I would email them to them or text them, and I'd say, hey, this one, I want kind of a Pearl Jam vibe, maybe, a song like Spin the Black Circle, just I'm not sure if we actually did that exactly, but something
did he
like
give you
that.
I thought he gave you like Mad Libs type thing where it's like fill in the blank, wasn't it?
We did some of that. So some of it was the lyrics. I would send him first, and then he would come back with, sometimes he'd come back with like a fully formed song with him coming up with the melody and singing the melody back to me with the lyrics I'd written almost completely done. And other times he would come up with a musical melody. Most of the time it started with words, but sometimes there were a few that he would come back and just sing a, da 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 da, and I had to match his da-das with actual words and match.
That's not normal. I mean, that's most people don't do it that way, right?
Right, as far as I know. But we did that, and we did it all remotely too. I mean, we did it all over Marco Polo. I don't know if you know that app, where it's just like video messaging back and forth, and we did it over email and text and phone call. And even though he lives 10 miles away, it was pandemic, hardcore during that time. And yeah, we made it work. And I think as we go forward, even now, I was just over there Monday night and I sang in the studio in his house. But for the Late Bloomer album, I cut all my vocals in his garage where he would be in the house, and we'd communicate through the mics and the headphones. Yeah. But this time he was 5 feet away from me, so we're getting a little closer. But as far as writing, as we continue to write, I like it better when we write remotely and we don't sit in the same room, because that's kind of our magic touch, I think.
Yeah, why if it's working, why change it? My good friend Dave is a huge Pearl Jam fan. He's gonna love you dropping Spin the Black Circle.
Oh, nice.
On here. It's
Dave.
I want you to give us a little something from another tune.
Sure.
Save Late Bloomer to close the show with. That was the one that really, yeah. But give us. You pick something you really like to play.
Do you want me to do something to make you cry or make you laugh?
Either way, man. Whatever you want the world to hear. Someone who's never heard you before or who has heard you.
All right. Well, this is a breakup song, actually. Although, no, wait, this isn't a breakup song. This is a song I wrote about a girl last year in the initial stages of, falling in love with her, and then we did break up.
All right.
But this is this isn't a breakup song. I think I just wrote the breakup song flying back home from Palm Beach over the weekend.
Nice.
Anyhow, I wrote this song for her and about her last October. It's unreleased, so you get the exclusive here. Make a Lover. You're gonna make a lover out of me, yeah. Possibly by this next sunset, and I don't think I'll ever forget. See, it's been a hell of a ride, looking in your brown eyes. I believe share the very same dreams. The road is full of pitfalls. I gotta know you're for it all. So take my hand, I'll be your man. Under the Indiana stars tonight, where the angels go to get it right, and the devil's always putting up their fights. 'Cause this feeling I just can't ignore, and I will knock down every damn door till I find what I've been searching for. You know it's true, don't you? The road is full of pitfalls. I gotta know you're up for it all. So take my hand, I'll be your man. You're gonna make a lover out of me, yes. I'm gonna make a lover out of you, yeah. Gonna make a lover.
Love it. Yeah, I heard that on the boat, in the cabin show.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Thanks.
Do you have? I mean, everyone has their favorites, but you have a set that you do. Are there songs that you really like to play? In front of crowds, and then different songs that you really like, but maybe you don't play so much. You want to keep it not as I don't know, played out there at shows. Not played out, but
Well, it really depends on the setting for me, and those cabin shows were really cool on the cruise because I felt like some of my songs are just perfect for small, intimate crowds that are really intently listening. And like a song like that, Make a Lover, is just a really good kind of song that you can connect with an audience. And that song about my dad, I don't know if you were at the cabin show. I did that one. Yeah, that one's really good. I don't play that one. I think that's a really good song that touches a lot of people. And they've told me after shows that it has, but it's just got to be the right listening room type environment.
that was my first cabin show. 13 cruises.
Really?
My first cabin show. Another fun fact about me and 6-man cruises: never been in the pool or the hot tub.
I dipped my legs in the hot tub this time and my feet in the pool.
Yeah.
But I do love every time I sing Late Bloomer. That song really, it resonates with not just me, but every single audience I play it for.
I ask independent, like, what's there's money, right? You have backing and people get to play, but what's the real difference between Late Bloomer becoming a top 20 hit and all these other ones? I mean, sometimes.
Well, I don't have a record label,
Yeah.
I don't have a radio promoter that's pushing my song to radio, or, a record label that's constantly pushing me to get on Spotify playlists or however it works. I don't know. I think a lot of it is, who you have behind you in the industry and how deep are your pockets. I mean, honestly, if you're on a record label, they have money set aside to constantly push your music and you as an artist.
Do you know JD Iker?
I know JD, yeah.
Yeah, because JD, independent singer songwriter, wrote a book recently. Now he just recently did sign with a record label. He was on the show. He had Steve on the show. Always asking them. It's like, it's weird the way music is different than a basketball player, because someone who has the talent, and that's, it's still a matter of opinion, right? I
Yeah.
mean, how good are you? But certainly there's people with record deals that don't put out anywhere near as good content as you and some of the other independent artists do. So I don't know.
I don't know,
How do
man.
you reconcile with that?
It's hard. I feel like speaking of sports analogies, I really do feel like I'm a minor league baseball player, and I just am not giving up on the dream. And, once in a while I'll get called up to the big show, and like on the Beach Boys cruise, and I'll literally get called up on to the stage, and that may be my one call up for the season, and then I go back and I work on my hitting and my fielding, and just hope that the next time I get called up, I'm ready.
If you're to make it big, is it going to have to be a new song, or could it be a song from your past, or could it be? I mean, someone could hear it and just be like, it doesn't have to be something that's not written yet, right?
That's true. Yeah. Maybe I haven't written the big hit yet. I don't know. And I don't write, I don't have that mindset, I guess, I mean, I do think I have some songs that could be hits, but you know, I can't sit around and why me and poor you. And
Yeah.
I just have to keep writing and performing and connecting the way I do. And hopefully it just continues to build up my status and my bank account, maybe even.
Yeah. I mean, without getting into your bank account, are you closer to? We have struggling artists who are sleeping on couches. We got people who are doing what they got to do to keep things going, and then you got people who don't have to worry because they know where the next gig is going to be. Where are you on that spectrum?
A bit of all three rolled into one. Although, I mean, I have my own house that I don't own, I'll be honest, but I do pay rent usually on time. Usually, actually, I've ever since I've lived here, I've paid rent in advance and sometimes months in advance. But yeah, right now, I mean, I thought getting off that cruise ship, I'd have just the phone would be ringing off the hook, but it's really not, to be honest. And I have to just realize that
Timing. It's timing
and just hustling. I mean, I'm always been a hustler. I can't just sit back. As much as I'd love to just sit back and let the phone calls roll in and the checks roll in, that's just not happening right now. So I'm just going to keep pushing forward and calling people and sending emails and annoying people probably with some of my social media posts to just keep putting myself out there. But it's a lot better than working for somebody. I know that.
there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
The lifestyle, the schedule. I mean, I've never made less money in my life,
Yeah.
and I've never been happier.
Same here.
Yeah, and you're doing what you love. I'm just like, you're just trying to figure out how long is this runway, because you have to think about the future.
You
And
do. You do. I try not to that much, but
what would you do? Let's just say music. You're done with music and you can't write books. What would you do?
well, I mean, I've kind of felt like that during the pandemic. Honestly, I had at least a dress rehearsal of what it would be like, and it was not pretty, honestly. I did strongly consider getting my real estate license.
Yeah.
Actually, I got really close to doing that in late 2020, early 2021, but then I backed out of that without pursuing it officially. But I think I could do something like that. Whatever I needed, whatever I did, it would have to be on my own schedule. I'd have to be self-employed in some way, either as a real estate agent or a freelance stuntman or something like that.
That'd be cool. Yeah. I mean, we talk about this all the time. People staying too long, athletes, mostly athletes, but do musicians stay in it too long a lot often? People who have been established, who can get gigs, and then people who haven't made it. I mean, I guess it's all relative, right? I mean, if you can pay your bills and you can live in a way that's comfortable enough to you. Forget about what anyone else thinks.
Right.
That's good enough. But is that a struggle with artists a
I
lot?
think it is. I think it is a struggle with aging artists. Luckily, I'm still only 42 for a
Yeah.
couple more weeks, so I'm not quite to middle age, but I'm pretty close.
I mean, you saw the Temptations up there. Mickey Dolenz was on last year, 70 something. The Righteous Brothers, these guys really.
Beach Boys. Yeah, they're still going. I don't know. I think as long as you stay true to who you are as an artist and a person, and you evolve with the times and change with the trends a little bit, but also stay true to who you are, I think you can do this for a long time. I mean, I think not my ultimate goal, but one of my future plans in this industry is, no matter what happens between 42 and say 62, like around maybe those early 60s, if I'm still, kicking, I'll probably relocate to Florida
Ah,
and play full time down there, or whenever I need to or want to, and kind of
come
adopt that.
on down. We got two guest rooms here in Palm Beach for you.
Oh, nice, man.
Yeah, they're available.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, if you're signed to a record label tomorrow, you're going on tour, or you're doing one big show, where is it?
Um, Red Rocks probably.
Red Rocks. I've never been there yet. It's a bucket list.
Yeah.
Give me a who would you open for? You can pick anyone to open for.
Hootie and the Blowfish.
You have some connections to them, right?
I do, yeah.
You
So
worked on some stuff with them.
yeah, and I just hung out with Mark, the lead guitar player, back in February. I was down in Charleston area, and we hung out a bit, and he sat in and jammed with me during my show, and I sat in and jammed with him on a kind of a side deal he was playing on, and so I don't know. We'll see.
You're in Indiana. My brother lived in Carmel for 4 years. He
Oh.
works for Lilly. Have you ever defeated Bub's Burgers Challenge?
No, I haven't, but that's a nice pull right there, a nice local connection that I have had Bubs many times, but I've never even attempted the challenge, actually, Matt.
Yeah, probably. I don't think it's that difficult, but it's probably a smart move to avoid it. Which six-man cruise would you like to go on as a fan the most? Are you aware of some of the other ones? You got Train, yeah. Michael Fronte, Rockboat, Kayamo, all.
Ooh, yeah. Now that you mentioned Kayamo,
Kayamo.
is I think however you say it, but
yeah, I think you're right.
Well, maybe let's just say I am, and as a fan, I think Kayamo would be the one I would want to go on, because I love the singer-songwriter storytelling type vibe, and I know that there's a lot of that going on that.
Never been, but hey, look, I'd like to get on all of them before, and maybe if we do enough work with Six Man, which we're working on.
Nice.
We got some ideas. Hopefully, that will come to fruition. Give me a Mount Rushmore of your music, your top 4 artists or bands.
Okay. That's pretty good. Let's see. Well, Hootie and the Blowfish, I'll just use them as one. I could use all 4 of the guys, but I'll just use one. I'd say Pearl Jam.
Okay.
I'd say Miles Davis, and I'd say Frank Sinatra.
So Joe Piscopo was on the Beach Boys cruise last year, and I was a little disappointed because he did a lot of Sinatra singing. He's very funny, but you would have loved his set if you ever get a chance to see him do. He's great at it.
And my dad was a big fan of his. I remember when he was on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah,
for one.
He had some really funny stuff.
Yeah.
Politically, he's gone a little bonkers. He does a show in New Jersey, but real nice guy, and his set was funny. You would have enjoyed it on there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Mount Rushmore is always tough. I want to ask you this. I love all kinds of music, and it's probably true that women don't get enough top billing for festivals and all of this. But when for some reason when I think about my favorites, it's all male. Even though I
Yeah.
listen to a ton of female, I'm like, what is it about that in your eyes? Because Lady Gaga is unbelievable, Pink, and even Alanis Morissette. But they're never going to be on my Mount Rushmore. When I name my favorite acts, they don't show up there. So is it a bias? Is it just what is that? Is it a male female thing that there's not enough female executives making the decisions?
Maybe all of the above. I do want to say that Maggie Rose kicked, maximum ass on that cruise and became a friend. And I was just so impressed by her and her live show.
That was her husband playing, right? She plays with her husband.
Her husband was there. He's her tour manager.
Wasn't there someone who played with their husband?
Might have been Morgan James.
Oh, that might be it. Yeah.
Yeah. Who's also.
Did you ever do that? Could you play with a girlfriend?
Well, actually, the girl that I wrote that last song about, she can sing pretty well. She's not a professional singer, but when I was in Key West last November, she came down and sang a couple songs with me on stage.
Have you played it for her? Have you sent it to her?
Oh, this song, that Make a Lover song?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I wrote it in October. We were still dating until February. So, yeah, definitely. I played it at she came to the Wiley House concerts up there in Clearwater, and I debuted it there.
Are you going to send her the breakup song that you thought about on the trip back?
I don't know.
I think you should. So my sister dated a comedian.
Yeah.
And they broke up. It was a bad breakup. And his next album was like something toasters and Meredith and other things that are hazardous to your health.
Oh shit.
And I thought it was kind of funny, obviously, but I do understand. Yeah, but I think there's I don't know. People should be flattered maybe that they include you. I don't know.
I know she's flattered about the first song. I don't know how flattered she'd be about the breakup song, even though the breakup wasn't messy and crazy, and it was actually somewhat very respectful, but it was not necessarily collaborative where she was on board with it as much as I was, so she still probably got, and I, both have feelings for each other, but they're just it's not gonna work out.
Is it tough for you to date, having to go to so many shows and being away? Whereas if you were like on a tour, someone can come with you if you're making enough money,
right?
Like that.
Yeah, it is tough. It's very tough.
And you have a daughter, right? You got to spend whatever free time you have with your daughter.
Yeah, so it's tough. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Would you ever get married?
No, not again. I've been married.
Right. I mean, again.
Yeah. I don't plan on getting married again. No. Who knows? I'm never going to shut that door, I guess, but I'm pretty sure no.
What's your daughter's favorite song of yours?
She likes the one I wrote with Tom about her. Let's Do It Again. Obviously, for obvious reasons, she really does like that song, and she likes the Tequila song actually too.
I hate tequila. I know you're a tequila drinker, but if it's not like Patron, Cafe Patron, I can't do it. Yeah,
that's the worst kind of tequila.
Well, no, I'm saying when you like tequila, you like tequila. I talk to whiskey people. I drink flavored whiskey, peanut butter, and all that, and flavored.
Yeah.
Like when you're a sipper, you think that stuff's bad. I get that. It makes sense to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
Which is fine. I want you to play Late Bloomer on the way out.
Okay.
But I want to tell everyone to check out the website, brettwiscons.com, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Check it all out. The book, the Bear Whitman Adventures, it's on Amazon. I think it's on Barnes and Noble and iTunes. So check that out. Yeah. I think there's something there, and I'll let you know more about how much I think is there if I read it. Not that I'm again the litmus test here, but we're gonna let you out before you sing of the Wolff Den with the same question that everyone's gotten. This is 275th episode of the Wolff Den. You got 24 hours to spend a day with anybody in the world. They have to be alive, and you can't be related to them. Who are you hanging out with, and what are you doing?
Oh shit!
It kind of surprises me how many people get caught off guard by that question. You would think like people would just think in a fantasy, like, hey, it would be cool to hang out with whoever.
Mick Jagger.
He hasn't been selected, I don't think.
Is it? Am I gonna die the next day?
Oh no,
My
no.
last
This is
day
just
on Earth?
you're being granted a wish. We're gonna try and make it happen. Maybe you get big enough where you can make it happen. What are you doing?
Well, then honestly, if I know, well, if it was my last day, either way, I guess I don't get to spend as much time with my daughter as I.
No, you can't be related to them.
Oh, okay, okay,
Otherwise, that's an easy choice.
okay, all right, Mick Jagger. Probably Michael Jordan, actually.
Okay, you can play golf, basketball.
We're gonna play golf and basketball and drink some damn good tequila. He'll probably smoke cigars. I won't, but we're gonna revisit the 1998 finals. Watch the fucking. Did you see the Last Dance? That
Yeah,
we'll sit there and watch that, and I'll be grilling him on all kinds of questions and probably have.
I'd like to hear Michael Jordan's music list. Barack Obama does his music list. It's always kind of fascinating. I'm sure there's some, politics to it also, but it'd be interesting to see like what does he like to listen to music wise.
It would be actually.
Yeah. All right, Michael Jordan. You're not the first. It's a great choice. And is he the greatest basketball player of all time?
Oh, definitely.
Is LeBron in the conversation?
For some people, he is in the conversation, but I just don't. I'm not gonna back LeBron. He's top 10.
Yeah,
maybe top 7 for me.
Who's the closest to Jordan then?
Kobe.
You think Kobe? See, I put Kobe lower, but I might have some bias. I have bias in everything. It's always hard for me to talk about anything with my bias. But Michael Jordan, it is. He's on the list.
Okay.
Again, check out Brett Wiscons on the website, the book, the songs, everything. We're going to close the show with a little bit of Late Bloomer. So take it away.
All right, brother. Thank you so much. Joey woke up that morning with no intention of making waves, but the sun was shining on him. He had to stop and shield his face. Took a stroll outside, breathe the birds and the bees and trees, and to check on his friend the flower under the stress of the autumn breeze. And he asked, "Are you paralyzed by pain or afraid of the future? Yeah, there's some truth to that rumor, 'cause I'm a late bloomer. Forget about it yesterday, 'cause you know what to do, yeah. Wish I got there sooner. I'm a late bloomer. Woo! I'm always stuck in neutral, too many worries on my brain. Will the light cascade around me? Will I track? Will I just rain? 'Cause I know I got potential to reach the stars from way down here. And while I bask inside the downpour, I get to know and face my fears. So cast your aspersions, not afraid of the future. Wish I got this sooner, but I'm a late bloomer. Ghost shadow from the Rockies, so there's no confusion. The answer's flowing right through you. Say I'm the late bloomer. Sometimes I think if I keep holding on, something good might come my way. Some nights I think my time might not arrive. You gotta throw those thoughts away. Gotta stand up tall and straight and go shout it from the Rockies. So there's no confusion. The love is flowing right through you. Say I'm the late bloomer, throwing on the windows and howling to the moon, yeah. Now all the winners are losers, and I'm the late bloomer. I promise you one thing.